Hi, my name is Michael Carroll here with Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roll Tide.
This is what being a NASCAR fan is all about. Singular history and tradition. Unmatched on-track intensity. And triple-header playoffs action to ratchet up the stakes. Throw in a can't-miss concert, camping, and the legendary atmosphere of Talladega Boulevard. And you've got more than a race. You've got Talladega. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you on this Tuesday afternoon as we look back to the win against Vanderbilt. Look ahead a little bit to Missouri. More of that coming up on Thursday's show at 2 o'clock. But again, a great victory for the Crimson Tide to improve to 2-0 in SEC play. Now Alabama has won 4 games in a row. A lot of good momentum for Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide. We start our show by taking a look at what's coming up on the program thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young, the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's first of all see what's coming up on the show today. We'll go back to the booth for the booth cam highlights from the Vanderbilt win. First of all, Chris Stewart, Tyler Watts on the call of those great moments for Alabama against Vanderbilt. The booth cam always streaming live during Crimson Tide games thanks to our friends at Regions Bank. Then we'll have a one-on-one conversation with Michael Carroll, who's really factored into the mix at right tackle for the Crimson Tide as only a freshman. He'll talk about that, plus his decision to come to Alabama coming up. Then Chris Stewart will join us for a preview of Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer show tomorrow night, plus get his thoughts on the Crimson Tide football team. And then we'll be joined by a Crimson Tide legend in Slade Bolden, who's not too far removed from his playing days here at the Capstone, but still has some thoughts on what he's seen from Alabama this season. We'll look forward to catching up with our good friend Slade Bolden. And then we'll round out the show with Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, taking a look back at some of the best moments from last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Plenty of thoughts and analysis from our former quarterback and color analyst on the network, Tyler Watts. Speaking of the football team, again, impressive win, 30-14 over the Vanderbilt Commodores. It was a tie game at 14 at halftime, and then the Crimson Tide did not allow a point in the second half. Jam Miller had that touchdown run to be the exclamation point to the 3 field goals we saw for Alabama. Just a really solid win against a pretty good football team in Vanderbilt. That'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the season. Now coming up, another undefeated opponent for the Crimson Tide, this time the Missouri Tigers. Early start on the road. Missouri's coming off of a bye week. We'll talk about that with Tyler coming up in Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, but it'll be a challenging game coming up this week on the road against Missouri. Congratulations to Alabama center Parker Brailsford. He has been named the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, a good performance against Vandy. And then we got the news from the league office also yesterday that the third Saturday in October, Tennessee and Alabama, it will kick off under the lights at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. 6:30 will be the kickoff for Alabama against Tennessee. Can't wait for Saturday, October 18th to come just around the corner. Taking a look at Alabama athletics, good to see. Speaking of Missouri, the soccer team already did a scouting expedition to Columbia, picked up a win. 3-0 was the final score, a solid performance and solid results. 3 points in the table for the Crimson Tide soccer team. They hope to pick up 3 more points, plus the Iron Bowl of Soccer trophy. Try and keep it with the University of Alabama as they take on the Auburn Tigers coming up on Friday at 7 o'clock. Meanwhile, for the volleyball team, a road loss to Mississippi State on Friday. Crimson Tide came home on Sunday and played 9th-ranked Texas A&M, played them tight in a couple of sets, but the Aggies got the sweep in that matchup. Now, 2 talented teams coming to Foster Auditorium this weekend. First of all, the LSU Tigers on Friday, and then on Sunday, the Texas Longhorns, another outstanding program. So we look forward to Rashinda Reed and the volleyball team hosting LSU and Texas coming up this weekend. In football, of course, we hosted the Vanderbilt Commodores, and it was a sunny day, as you'll see coming up in the booth cam highlights for Alabama against Vanderbilt. But through all the sunlight, Chris Stewart with the shades on called a brilliant game along with Tyler Watts and Corey Reamer on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We take a look back now to our booth cam highlights presented by Regions Bank.
A slight breeze, but not much of one. It is a wonderful picture postcard day in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Men to either side of Simpson will hand it off to Miller right up the gut. He's got room. 40, cuts it inside 35, and finally brought down at the 29-yard line of the Commodores. Pavia facing a 3-man front. Bama showing pressure, and they bring it. Pavia looking, stepping up in the pocket, has some room. Gets run down, though, across the 5 and gets hit. It's a loose football, and Bama says they have it. It was stripped by Justin Jefferson. Tide looking, firing in the slot. Catches made, Bernard. Oh, what a beautiful throw and a great grab as he got hit and held on to it. Jeremy Bernard, a huge gain of 14 to move the sticks again. 4th down and 8 upcoming. You got to get to the 27 of the Commodores in order to keep the drive alive. Simpson with a pump fake. Now does clap. Gets the snap, looking, firing, near side Cuevas, gets the first down, gets more, inside the 20, and finally brought down at the 16-yard line. The wideouts in tight to each side. Fake the pitch, left side. Simpson scrambling, looking, firing, end zone, touchdown. Ty Simpson to Ryan Williams. 14 yards. And Bama is an extra point away from tying this one with 9:22 remaining in quarter number 2.
All off of the turnover. Heck of a drive that time, overcoming a couple of tough situations, picking up the 4th and 8, and against that zone coverage, we tried to flood the zone. Vanderbilt did a nice job of protecting everything, covering everything up, but Ryan Williams is able to slip and work the back of that end line.
You got 2 wideouts stacked to the near side of the field, 2 to the far side. That's the left side of the formation for Simpson, who gets the snap. Stepping, looking, firing, end zone, catch was made, Bernard, touchdown Alabama.
Tyler talked about the timing of the route. I was standing right there, it was right in front of me. I thought Jeremy Bernard let up on the route a little bit, and Ty led him, but luckily Jeremy's got some closing speed to go out there and catch that football.
Come on, Corey, you can't run into the coverage as an offensive guy. Bernard knew exactly what he was doing. He needed to sit it down in that window.
Yeah, what do I know? I'm just a defensive guy. I got no idea what they're doing. Finding that soft coverage all day, you said it. They've been working this sideline, been trying to get in between the over-the-top safety in that corner, finally able to get some success with that one right there.
So they will line up, not in victory formation, but in tied at halftime formation, which in many years is victory formation for Vandy. But not anymore. This is a ranked and talented Commodore team, and Alabama will go to the locker room. Deadlocked with the doors thanks to a final minute scoring drive to even things at 14 all. Gets the snap at 1. Pavia with time, stepping up in the pocket, being chased. Now he is going to be brought down at the 45. A gain of 3, but well shy of the mark as Kelby Collins gets credit.
This defense playing inspired football right now. Offensively, you got to put something together here. Get the lead on this possession.
Looking right, pressure coming, dumps it off to the tight end, Cuevas. He hurdles a man across the 20 and gets to about the 23, and that's enough for a bank first down. Marlon Sewell from Shades Valley High School in Birmingham thought he had him, and then whoops, there he goes right over his head. They bring Cuevas, the tight end, in motion to the left side. Play action, Simpson looking, deep downfield. Has Williams, comes back, makes the catch, makes a man miss, and then gets tackled at the 21-yard line. A huge play for another bank first down. Alabama, as Simpson improvises a bit, finding Ryan Williams for 54, and Alabama's just outside that Chick-fil-A red zone at the 22. From 38 yards out from the far hash. Snap and hold are good. The kick is up. It's got plenty of leg, and it is good. And Connor Talty boots it through and makes it a 17-14 Alabama lead. Pavia bringing a man in motion. They'll hand it off. No, kept it himself, and nowhere to go. He's brought down for a loss of 4. Jan Pierre leading the charge. Ty Simpson from his 21, dropping back, looking downfield, nothing there. Scrambles left, stops, looks, fires, has a man. Latsier Brooks near midfield, breaks one tackle, stretches forward, and gets to the 49-yard line of the Commodores. Getting the snap, Simpson with time. Looking downfield across the middle. He's got Jeremy. Catches made. First down. Brought down. 29-yard line of Vandy. Move those sticks again. This one from the near hash. Snap. Spotter good. The kick is up. And the kick is good as well. Alabama adds to its lead, but still only a 6-point advantage with 1:17 remaining in the third quarter. Play action. Pavia, plenty of time. Fires. It is picked off. Intercepted. Mbakwe gets it across, or check that, not Mbakwe, that's Keon Sabb. He gets it near the 20-yard line. Keon Sabb with the pick, and Alabama does indeed turn away the Commodores again. Olas Lanian checking in on the left side of the line for the Crimson Tide. Lewis also on the left side. Proctor in the backfield this time as Simpson operates under center. He'll hand it off, and Proctor will rumble forward and get the first down. Special K getting it done for the Crimson Tide again. He was a wideout a week ago. He was a running back in this one.
Brian Longwell, the linebacker for Vandy, I mean, is about as good of a form tackle as you could have on anybody, but obviously with a 150-pound difference, Caden Proctor's going to win.
Here's the field goal try of 31 yards. The kick is up. It's strong enough, and it is inside that right upright. It is good. So credit Connor Talty, his third field goal of the second half. Alexander to the left of Pavia, who works from the pistol. He's only 19 of 30 today. He rolls the pocket left. He's being chased. He'll be brought down. He gets caught. Justin Jefferson with a huge sack right there. Simpson from the pistol. Everybody bunch left. He'll go on the toss to Jam. He cuts it back. He's got a first down. He's got a touchdown. Caden Proctor with the block that sprung him as he took it to the house. Catch is made, and they'll bring down Bryson Coleman to end the ball game. 30-14 your final. And strike up the band as Bama puts the earth back on its axis with a win over the Doors. It by a final of 30-14. Tyler Watts, that's a big win against a good football team, handing them their first loss of the year.
Yeah, in the preparation for this game, people just don't give Vanderbilt enough credit for how good they are on both sides of the team. They make it tough. Think about how explosive Ty Simpson, this offense, has been throughout the course of this early year. And they eliminated all of that. We had one explosive plays to Ron Williams down the field. Outside of that, they kept us in check, kept everything underneath. We won the turnover battle. We forced the 3 punts that we needed to win this game. The defense, we hadn't talked about it yet, y'all. We didn't give up any points in the second half to this Vanderbilt team who moved the ball. They had 2 takeaways inside the red zone. That ended up being the difference because they scored touchdowns on those possessions. Completely different ball game.
Fun time in the booth and on the field. We were watching number 64 for the Crimson Tide, Michael Carroll. What a quick impact he's made on the Alabama roster. He joined us in the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center studio to talk about his decision to join Alabama and what he's done to get on the field so early in his Crimson Tide career. Roll Tide, and welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roger Hoover with you at the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center at Sabin Field. Now joined by one of the newer members of the Crimson Tide, freshman Michael Carroll, who's making a difference on the offensive line. Michael, Roll Tide, how have you enjoyed the season?
I've enjoyed the season really well. I feel like we've gotten off to a great start, and team's coming together.
It really has come together, and for you, as the weeks have gone on, we've seen more playing time. What do you feel like you're doing to earn some of that playing time?
I would say I feel like I'm building the coaches' trust in me because I've been putting in hard work and listening to what they tell me and then just going out there and executing.
What do you remember about your first play? When you first got called on, it's like, all right, this is no longer practice. This is not a scrimmage. You're going in for real in a football game.
I mean, I was prepared for it, but it was a little nerve-wracking. So they started off with a pass play, but ever since then, I've just built more confidence.
How do you feel like this offensive line just in general is working better as the season goes along?
I definitely feel like we're a tight unit, and we always try to help each other, in different areas, critique and technique, just to overall better the performance of the group.
What kind of motivator is Coach Cap?
He's definitely, hard coach. He'll yell at you, but I just respect him for trying to get the most out of me every day.
That's good, yeah. So really good in the you guys are together so long. How does he keep the kind of things fresh, whether it's on practice field or in the meeting room as you get ready for games?
He just does a great job, taking his time. Everybody learns differently, so, he gives us breaks to stand up if we need to, but I feel like that.
That's really good to see. So again, it's led to some good moments for you. You've rotated in some at right tackle. Somebody else has played some right tackle, Wilkin Formby. What have you liked about when you guys are on the field at the same time? We saw him play some right guard, especially against Georgia.
Yeah, I feel like he's a great player. Playing next to him, we only have good, confident communication, so he's a great player.
He really is. And it seems like, again, just you guys really work together. Who were some of the veterans that took you in and really helped make you feel comfortable this year?
I would definitely say Parker Brailsford and Caden Proctor. I feel like they're great role models for me and great offensive linemen to look up to.
What kind of a leader is Parker Brailsford?
I would say a vocal leader. He has the respect of the whole team, and he's also a great player.
He really is. So, again, that's all led to some good success for you over the last few weeks. Let's go back, though, to where your journey began. First of all, tell us where you're from.
Originally, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, so a town up there. Yeah.
From an athletic family?
Yeah, my dad played linebacker at Penn State, and my mom played basketball at Michigan State.
That's really good. Where did they meet?
It was a Cubs baseball game. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good story. So, still big Cub baseball fans, or?
I would say, yeah, I would think so.
Okay. So they raised you in all the sports growing up?
Oh, yes. Wrestling, football, lacrosse, basketball, tennis, everything, swimming, everything.
Let's go. What kind of player was your mom?
She was more of a defensive player, same with my dad, so it's interesting how I'm playing offense.
Yeah, you said your dad at Penn State. What years was he at Penn State?
From 1993 to 1996.
Okay, so he gets to play for Joe Paterno.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good stories from those days?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So with that athletic background, and again, you were able to play all these different sports, when did football kind of win out for you?
I would just say always trying to, make it to the NFL ever since I was a little kid, looking up to my dad, So ever since then, like fourth grade, I would say. Yeah.
Fourth grade, did you have a pretty good growth spurt around then too?
Yeah, I've just been the biggest kid my whole life though, so used to it.
That's just part of it. Has it always been offensive line for you, or any other spots?
I played running back, quarterback, safety. 8th grade, I was like 5'10", 140 pounds, so I was safety, quarterback, outside linebacker.
That's really good. When did you start to hone in on your skills on the line?
I would say my sophomore year of high school, I had an O-line coach named Chris Myers. I was playing D-line at first, but then he switched me to O-line. He thought I'd have a better future there, and it looks like it's been working out so far.
Yeah, it really has paid off for you. Some good work. I imagine, too, in the summer, did you go to any college camps or anything like that to hone your skills?
Oh, yeah. So I ended up with 40 offers, and that really started off by just going to camps.
What was that recruiting process like? I mean, 40 offers right off the bat. So, I mean, it must have been crazy hearing from all these people.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but honestly, just a blessing. I knew it was going to happen for me, seeing my parents and God and hard work.
Yeah, did you rely on them since they had been college athletes? They kind of knew what to expect?
Yeah, when I was, just starting off with recruitment, I was asking my father to help me, but he was like, you're going to have to go earn it by yourself. And that's, if you're good, they'll find you.
They certainly did. And Alabama found you as well. What was your first contact with Alabama when they get on the radar?
I would probably say Coach Wolford reached out to me a little bit my junior year, but then Coach Cap, we've had such a long relationship from Michigan State to Baylor to here. So just staying with him, I felt like he was a loyal guy. So I was like, can't be loyalty.
Can't be loyalty, and you can't beat what we have here in terms of facilities, the fan atmosphere. When did you get to come here on a visit?
My first visit, I think it was a spring visit. But once I got here, I knew I wanted to be here, but I couldn't really let the coaches know that. But I just knew I wanted to be here, going from IMG Academy to here, seeing all the guys go to the NFL, and the facilities and the coaches and the, honesty and authenticness of the coaches.
That's really good. So you were here as well for A-Day, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's when I first met Nick Saban. That was a blessing.
Yeah, how much fun was that experience?
It was an insane experience. Like, I never thought I would do that, like, growing up, but just to actually meet him, wow, man, blessing from God.
I understand you got to meet Landon Dickerson at one point on a flight. Can you tell us that story?
That was not planned at all. I was just coming on a visit to Alabama for the A-Day game, and he was too. And I was like, well, a trainer I used to train with was at the airport too, so I had to, talk to him and get some words of wisdom about the game and life.
Yeah, what did he say about playing here?
He said, you're going to have to be one of the best if you actually want to play there. And he said, if you do get to play there, opportunity is a blessing. So I would take advantage of that opportunity and just hone in on every detail.
Do you like watching him in the NFL?
Yes, sir. I definitely do.
Eagles your team or Steelers?
I would probably say the Bears.
Bears. Okay. So a huge Chicago connection, it seems.
Yeah.
That's really good. So you have all these different factors leading you towards Alabama. Kind of when was that moment where you said, all right, no more recruiting, let's go with Alabama?
I would probably say when I committed. When I committed, I was like, all right, let's do this. Got to put my head down, go to work, make these dreams come true.
And it started to happen for you. You mentioned IMG Academy. How did that place get you better? Because we see all over the SEC. We've seen it on Alabama rosters too. So many players are going there.
I would just say the competition that it breeds out every single day at practice. You know, you're going against other top guys in the nation, so iron sharpens iron. You're only going to get better.
Does it also have kind of a college feel in terms of like the weight room and nutrition and everything you guys do now at Alabama? Did you do a lot of similar things there?
Yeah, IMG felt like the Alabama of high school, so it was pretty much all the same, just at a higher level now.
How much did that help you once you finally got here?
It was such an easy transition going from there to here because the way they set everything up down there and how Alabama knows IMG.
Yeah, and when did you get here? Were you an early enrollee?
Yeah, I came here early enrollee in January, so I graduated early from high school.
How helpful was it to play in the spring and get some valuable reps then?
It was amazing, you know, going against the competition that this place has to offer and learning the whole playbook and building a relationship. I felt like that's been helping me now in the fall.
So when you're in practice with Alabama, who are some of the tougher defensive guys you got to go up against every day?
I would probably say LT Overton is a challenge, but I run to the challenge, not away. So, and then him, I would say probably Keon Keeley is up there.
That's really good to see from those guys. And again, mentioned you were able to get some valuable experience in the springtime and the summertime as well, getting ready for this year. Is this a fun offense to play in for an offensive lineman?
I would definitely say it's a fun offense system to play in with Coach Grubb being such a wise guy. You know, I would feel like it's a great place for offensive line.
Does he ever come up with some formations or different? I mean, some of the blocking packages we saw against Georgia, we didn't expect some of these tight ends to be there. We didn't expect Wilkin to be on the right guard. Does that make it fun to go to work every day?
Yeah, I was even playing on the opposite side of the line too in that game. So it's definitely fun, and you just got to be locked into all the details.
How much do the tight ends help you guys in blocking?
I would say they definitely are a good help. Yeah.
That's great. The Crimson Tide are just enjoying a great home game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. What led to success against Vandy in that game?
I would say just focusing on what we had to do, not listen to outside noise, and, you know, you pay attention to every detail and try to do everything right.
It seemed like this team is really motivated. Who gets you hype on game days?
I would probably say I'm internally motivated, but guys that do a good job hyping up the team, I would say I'm probably Deontay Lawson, Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, and Tim Keenan, probably guys like that. Yeah,
Tim Keenan, great to see him back and healthy for the Crimson Tide. Working with this offense, first of all, tell us about playing with Ty Simpson. What stands out to you about him?
He's just like such a great person, someone that I definitely want to block for and protect, and he's a great leader. So, yeah.
And, of course, he's doing a great job in pass protection. You guys are giving him time to throw, but how about running the football? What do you like when Alabama's able to get downhill?
Oh, I love running the ball. You know, I feel like our coach just has faith in us now. Like, he's like, we believe in this offensive line to go down there and run the ball.
Yeah, he really does. And Kevin Riley is somebody that's really emerged. You got to see him spring and summer. Are you surprised with the success he's having or not?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I see how hard he works every day. So I love Kevin. You know, he runs hard, makes my job easy.
And then how good is it to have Jam Miller back?
Oh, it's great to have Jam back. He's such a smart player and a great athlete.
Well, for the Crimson Tide this season, you're playing a large role. What's going to be most important for this team to focus on as you get ready for Missouri, and it's still a really tough stretch ahead?
I would say continuing to focus on what we need to do and what we can control, and then playing together and for each other.
What have you liked about Alabama and Tuscaloosa kind of away from football so far?
I would say, you know, the views are pretty nice, and the lakes. Got to go out on the lake with my family for July 4th, so that was nice.
Yeah, are they enjoying getting down here a lot?
Oh, yeah, they try to make it to every game, one of my parents.
That's really good. What about your focus in the classroom? What are you majoring in?
Right now I'm majoring in sports management. I took a liking to that in spring, so I'm just focused on that.
Any ideas of what a career could be way down the road after football's done?
Nah, just trying to make the NFL.
Absolutely. Well, you're on the right track for doing that. Michael Carroll, just thank you for all the time you've given us. Best of luck to the Tide the rest of the year. Roll Tide. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
This is what being a NASCAR fan is all about. Singular history and tradition, and triple header playoffs action to ratchet up the stakes. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
From Michael Carroll to Chris Stewart, the voice of the Crimson Tide, who joins us on every Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We get thoughts on Alabama football from Chris, the win against Vanderbilt, looking ahead to Missouri, plus some thoughts on Hey Coach that's coming up tomorrow, 6 p.m. from Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa. Here's the voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart. And Chris, you and I get to talk after another Alabama win. What an effort we saw on Saturday against Vanderbilt.
Well, we did, and these are a lot more fun, thoroughly enjoyable, and the fun thing is that this team is getting better. Not that was a perfect performance by any stretch, but really managed things well when it looked like Vandy was about to make it 14-0 there in the first half. You force a turnover and get a takeaway and then tie it up. Then when it looks like they're going to go to the locker room up 7 and get the ball first to begin the second half, you find a way to get points on the board, tie it up, and flip momentum going into the second half. And even though, to their credit, Vandy limited Alabama to 3 field goals in the second half before that clinching score, you still got in position and converted on those 3 opportunities so that it was a 2-score lead, so that you did have the option of just running to run out the clock potentially, and you bust one for a TD. Just a lot of good things that took place in that against obviously a much improved, very talented Vanderbilt squad.
How good is it to see that Alabama, in the games against Georgia, in the games against Vanderbilt, there's been some adversity in game, but it hasn't really rattled this Tide team, maybe in the way it would have a year ago where we saw it pop up a few times, or even in the Florida State game?
You know, the fact that this team could fall behind to that team, meaning Vandy again, and be on the verge of, again, that being a 2-score game. That could have been very, very different. That game looks very different if they're even able to make it a 10-0 contest. But they didn't. And just so impressed with the defense, forcing turnovers like they are, but the offense then turning around and doing what Vandy had done. They got to take away, march 90-plus yards to put the first points of the game on the board. Bama's takeaway results in a 90-plus yard drive as well. And just excited to see them overcome that adversity, manage things when it's not perfect, and find a way to get the job done. And, again, put themselves in position. You know, skies fallen a month ago. And now you pick up and see where, you know, all the national talking heads, and Vegas included, are talking about Alabama being one of the top 3 choices to play for or win the national title. Trust me, I like this better than the other, but it doesn't mean any more today than the season's over conversation did 4 weeks ago. There's a ton of work to be done, and you could be right back in that mode in the thinking of some people if you don't find a way to continue to play well at a high level, as you'll need to in Columbia this weekend.
Certainly will need that, and for Alabama to continue having this success, need more solid quarterback play from Ty Simpson. Just in your opinion, what's he doing best leading this Alabama offense?
Decision-making. Tyler Watts talked a lot, as you know, on the broadcast about timing, which seemed to be off in the first half, but was a whole lot better in the second. And that's not just Ty. That's overall with the offense. I'm really impressed with – you talk about not getting rattled. You finally get the job you've been wanting, the starting quarterback role at the University of Alabama, and you lose to Florida State right out of the gate by 2 scores. And not that it was all his fault by any stretch. In fact, he did probably a better job than his numbers would have even indicated in that first game. But it's still a loss, and you're the quarterback. And so much falls on you, and fingers get pointed your direction. So for him to manage that and become what he's become, you know, we talk about the team going from what are they going to do to now being in the national championship conversation. Ty Simpson goes from being 0-1 as a starter to now he's in the conversation for the Heisman. So that's, again, prefer that tremendously over what we experienced 4 weeks ago. But that alone is an indication of how quickly things can change and just keep pressing forward, and I have no doubt the Tide's going to keep doing that.
Pressing forward, and we're pressing forward to Columbia, Missouri, coming up on Saturday morning for Alabama against, once again, an undefeated team in the Missouri Tigers. And Chris, certainly a team that knows how to run the football and is playing some strong defense as well.
They are, and I think that was the key with Vandy as well, is that doing things on both sides that make them very dangerous. You can't just feel like you shut down an offense and, okay, they can't beat you the other way. They're good defensively also. And, we'll both pour a whole lot into the Tigers as we go through the week, but you don't have to look very far. And you see that number, like you said, undefeated at this stage of the year, getting better, just as Alabama is. And you better play well. And again, early starts can be a little tricky for some teams. Good thing for Alabama, they're used to going early. Practice time starts at 9 or 10 o'clock virtually every day. So this will not be an adjustment for them. This will be like going to work almost every single day. But it's vitally important that they continue to play well, especially, I think, a quick start on the road and take care of business the way they have throughout the course of the year.
Well, throughout the course of the week, you'll be busy with the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer, with Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show on Wednesday night. Then it's off to Missouri. Chris, we're looking forward to everything that's coming up. And hopefully when we talk again next week, we're not just going to talk about another Alabama football win. I'm not going to bring it up today, but next week, let's talk a little basketball. How about that?
I am excited about that as well. And also with the show, Justin Jefferson, I think, has been confirmed to be our student athlete that we'll talk to from football with Coach DeBoer, and really enjoy the conversations we get to have with the players during the show. That's something that Coach has added to what he wants his radio show to look like and sound like, and we're glad to make that work. I think it's been terrific for the student athletes, but it's been great for the fans to get to know these people better. It's not just a number and a helmet, a jersey. It's who they are, and we got some great young people at the University of Alabama. It's an honor and exciting to get to show them off, if you will, to the fans and anybody that tunes in.
We look forward to it. Chris, safe travels to Missouri. Thank you. Roll Tide.
You too, buddy. Thanks.
What's up? Josh Cuevas with Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Appreciate Chris and his time each and every week on this show as well. We're joined by an Alabama football legend, and in the past few weeks, we've been joined by players from maybe the Bryant era, or even going back 20 years ago to Alabama's SEC championship team. I guess 26 years ago. Sorry, Tyler Watts, back in 1999, as well as John Parker Wilson, the early days of the Saban era. So for this week, we wanted to take it back just a few years. Slade Bolden was a great wide receiver for the Crimson Tide, part of some legendary moments during his time getting to play for Alabama. He won two SEC championships, a national championship as well in 2020, and he joins us to catch up on what he's up to these days, plus his current thoughts on the Crimson Tide. We're not going all the way back to the Bryant era or anything this week. We're just going back to the Saban era a few years ago. Slade Bolden, former Crimson Tide wide receiver. Slade, part of Coach Saban's last national championship team, a great wideout for the Crimson Tide. And he joins us now. Slade, how's everything going as we're getting into October and really the meat of this Alabama football schedule?
Everything's going good, Roger. I appreciate you having me on here. It's funny you're saying we're not going to have any guys from Bryant days. I was like, golly, like, don't say it because it makes me feel even older. I feel like it was yesterday that I was on campus playing for Coach Saban, but it's been a little while. I like to think it hasn't been, but it has. But everything's going great. I mean, just how this team has responded, it's almost been like a 180 from that first game. I'm so excited to see how the rest of this year plays out. I mean, just two huge back-to-back wins. Always nice beating up on little brother, and then getting that revenge game, shutting old buddy up on the other side that wore number 2. Actually, 2 guys that wore number 2. Kind of kept them quiet, so that was great to see.
Yeah, it's been a good response. We'll stick with this current Alabama team for a moment. Obviously, things did not go well against Florida State. Didn't look like Alabama football for a bit. But how have you seen this team take steps forward in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I feel like they took full responsibility and probably did some self-reflecting on how they played. At the end of the day, it's not really a loss-win deal to me because at the end of the day, people lose. Like you're not gonna win every game, but it's how we lost, and I think that was the biggest concern for a lot of us, not only fans but former players, guys that knew kind of what the standard was or what we expected. But look, then again, it's not a Saban team, so we can't just dwell and reflect on that. But I think they responded exactly the way they should have. And things are starting to roll. We're building off momentum, and we're clicking on a lot of high cylinders here from definitely an offensive standpoint. We're looking very efficient. Ty Simpson's doing an unbelievable job, and defense definitely coming around, creating turnovers and just causing more havoc, which is just contagious. So I think we're just in a great spot. I'm honestly was more worried about this weekend than I was against Vandy, just because you have two big wins. You kind of have that hangover mentality, is what we called it, and then you're going into a trap game essentially, similar to what happened when we went to Oklahoma last year, but. I think we're just playing so well and so efficient that there's really no doubt in my mind that we don't come out and win the rest of this regular season.
Of course, you were a fast guy on the offensive side of the ball that wore number 18. Right now, we got a number 18 on the defensive side of the ball that's also pretty quick to the football, had a couple of interceptions. Are you a big fan of Bray Hubbard?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. It's funny because there's some other similarities other than the AT, right? Even though I actually did my first semester play safety, coach moved me over there. Let me tell you, one of the hardest, worst, best times I've had that first semester early enrollment playing safety. But so I've been there before, but not to the level of Bray Hubbard. But yeah, I love the way he's playing. I think even though that play that he got caught on camera, somewhat what we call loafing. We all loaf. It happens. There's been times where I didn't finish a block or I didn't follow the play. He just got caught. But I love the fact that he didn't make excuses for it. He took full responsibility and he just come out and played at a very high level that we all knew he could play at. So I love the way he's playing, and I love the way he's representing that number too.
So he's 18 number now. You, of course, signed with Alabama. Going back a few years ago, you were like some of those guys in the video games when they just have the ATH next to their name, the athlete, because you did a little bit of everything in high school. And you mentioned first starting at safety. What was your plan once you decided to come to Alabama in terms of a playing position? What was the vision you were sold on at Alabama?
Well, at the time, it was Brian Dable. He was offensive coordinator. He brought me in and did exactly what I expect or I'd hope for from any school that recruited me, because I didn't really need all the love and all the special treatment. I just wanted to see how I'd fit in your offense, how you're going to utilize me, and if I was going to have the opportunity to play. And he basically showed me exactly how I fit in the offense in the slot, being able to play receiver and all the different routes that he had in the offense, but also what he ran when he was with the New England Patriots were guys similar to me, like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Amendola, and obviously those things were compared. So I was like, okay, perfect. I have a great uh, opportunity to play an offense that I think fits me best. But it's funny because as an athlete, I was played mostly quarterback in high school, but I played some running back, I played receiver, and then every now and then I would play a little safety and corner. So I guess that's why coach thought it was a good idea to move me to safety. Really, we just lost a bunch of guys to the draft that year, and he just needed somebody to fill in a spot. But yeah, I think doing all those things and also playing on the other side of the ball truly helped me develop. And obviously, my plan was if I want to be the best player, best man I can be, I got to go play with the best, get coached by the best, and compete with the best. And that was the best place to be at the time to do that. And it still is, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I was always going to be whatever the team needed, and whether it's special teams, whether it's wildcat quarterback, running back, you name it, and even obviously safety at a short time. Because at the end of the day, I just want to win. I want to help the team win, and that's kind of how it happened. And luckily, coach allowed me to move back to receiver, which was a lot more comfortable. But I still had a lot of growth. I still had a lot of things to learn. I always joked that I couldn't even get off the press my freshman year playing against some of the guys I did. But being in that room with the guys I was in, it made me learn quickly. It made me compete at a higher level, and ultimately made me the best receiver I could be.
How did being a high school quarterback really help you as a wide receiver?
Well, that's one thing I tell guys all the time is if you're a receiver or even as a quarterback, you want to be on like the same telepathic wavelength as your receiver or quarterback. And having that, you know, I guess core quarterback mindset, knowing how important it is to understand your receivers, understand how they're going to come out of their routes, how they're going to break in and out of their transitions at the top of the routes, their speed, all these different things, and also their just IQ too. And that's one thing that I was able to learn playing receiver is knowing coverages, knowing how certain DBs play certain leverage, using that to my advantage, not being the most skillful guy, most athletic guy, and the fastest guy, and basically using my football IQ to find holes, use DB's leverage against them and basically be a deceiver, not a receiver, and deceive DBs to thinking I'm going one way and the other. And having, obviously a good relationship with my quarterbacks, spending time with them, it just helps because they know what I'm thinking. I know what they're thinking.
Yeah, sticking with the quarterbacks for a minute. I know when you signed with Alabama, you make that decision because you want to be surrounded by a lot of great talent. But can you believe the starting quarterbacks in your time in Tuscaloosa? Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. That's unreal talent.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts was not.
Yeah, that's
playing.
Right. Yeah, your freshman year. Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I'm super blessed to being able to play with those guys, not just the quarterbacks, but everybody I played with. But there was no excuse. I mean, you had legit, just unbelievable first round talent throwing you the ball every day, and then on Saturdays, there was no reason why you shouldn't be able to make a play. But it's funny because I get asked that a lot, right? Who's the best, or who did you actually play with? What are the quarterbacks you play with? And I'm like, well, which one? I mean, I played with uh, four just unbelievable players and guys, so it was super cool, and being able to not only catch balls from them, but also learn from them and like see how they went about studying the film and studying defenses and their process of getting better and not only mentally but physically. I think that all helped me as well.
So you go through the 2019 season, and again, you're going to have a really stacked team in 2020. Then all of a sudden in March, just right as practice is about to begin, the COVID-19 pandemic. How did you manage that summer and then getting into that fall, the daily testing and all that went with that year? Plus, you played an all SEC schedule. It couldn't have been tougher for you guys, but still an undefeated season and a championship.
Yeah, it was like the worst, best time ever. I think going into our 2019, or it would have been 2020 spring training. It's funny. We always have a practice before our spring break, and then we come back for spring training. Saban's thing, I never understood it, but I guess it kind of keep the guys on their P's and Q's. But we go to our meeting for that first practice before spring break, and we're like, hey, we heard about it in the news, social media of COVID. And that was the first time that we're like, hey, we're not going to have a spring training. So we're like, honestly, being 20 years old, I was like, great. That means we're going to have some time off. We're going to have a longer spring break or whatever. Because I always thought spring training was tough. It was good for young guys, but older guys, which is going into my third year, kind of solidified. It was never the best time, but it was strange because when we came back, we're home for like 2.5 months and really a lot of unknowns, right? We don't even know if we're going to have a season. We're trying to figure out. And I give so much credit to Coach Saban, Coach Ballou, and at the time, Matt Ray, who was, and Jeff Allen over our kind of training, athletic training. And, Coach Saban just trying to figure out, that's what he always did best, was adapting to the times. And not necessarily he always liked to adapt to the change of times, but you had to adapt to that. And the different workout groups, how we had to go about practice, how we had to go about being in the facility, not being in the facility. I think not only did we do a good job from a team aspect of dealing with that and not knowing whether or not we're going to have a season, but also just from an individual standpoint, I feel like everybody came together and was like, hey, this is something that we don't know, but we're going to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that if there is a season, or because we knew we had a great team like every year, I felt like, but I felt like we all did things individually or as in groups outside of mandatory, uh, team affiliated things to get better and to deal with the times and to make sure that we weren't getting COVID, or if you already had it, to be smart or whatever that looked like. It was wild, and then obviously once we got to training camp or fall camp, I guess you'd say, it was a lot longer. It was every other day instead of every day. And, we still, every week, it seemed like we didn't even know if we were going to play, because the opponent, the opposing team may have guys out. So it was strange, but I think we did everything we could. We took full responsibility, and we did the most Bama thing ever. Everybody got Apple Watches to keep up with our workouts during the summer. So, that helps, right? Not every team is allowed to do that, but or have the funds to do that. So we definitely took advantage of everything that we had to our disposal to make sure that we were ready when that time came. And luckily we were, and we ended up having just unbelievable season. That was the first true summer with Baloo and Matt Ray. And I'm telling you, we were so much stronger, more explosive than everybody. And I just don't think everybody did what we did to prepare for that season. And not only were we super talented, but we just out dominated everybody. And that's why we not only went undefeated, but we went undefeated the way we did.
Yeah, and you scored a touchdown against Ohio State national championship. Great moment for you. I imagine another one of the great moments you had. One of the craziest Iron Bowls we've ever seen at Jordan here in 2021. Just tell us about the poise that Bryce had leading you down to tie that game, and then everything that happened in overtime.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time we play in Jordan Air, it's always something, right? That place, I don't know what's going on. Some voodoo, some spirituality underneath the stadium, over the stadium. Who knows? It's always something playing there, and we know that, right? We've lost there in 2019, and going into 2021, we had an unbelievable team again, right? Obviously that team made the national championship, and I think Auburn was maybe 6-4, 6-5, or whatever it was. They may have barely been over 500, and they always play like immortals. I swear, like when we play them, they become a different team, and that's normal when we play teams like that in general. We're always going to get everybody's best game, and they threw a lot of different things at us that game. Obviously, the environment there is so much fun. It's so loud, but it's almost like it pisses you off too, because you're playing Auburn. But it is a great environment. But Bryce just understanding that no matter what, the game's never over. You got to take each play by one, like just it's a play by play mentality. It's an inch by inch game. And yeah, it doesn't matter if the first three and a half, obviously until about a minute left, nothing was going our way. And the poise, I guess, not only of Bryce, but our coordinators, Coach Saban, us as players outside of Bryce, we knew that it's not over till that clock hits zero. And I think just having a good game plan, working all the different types of scenarios, whether it's, you're down six and it's a minute and a half left and you're either on the 30, on you're, on our end zones 40, or even backed up to the 2 like we were. You go through those, you prepare for those. So the moment's not too big, and you've seen it before in practice and other game situations. So, I mean, just having that poise and, being able to, kind of rely on your teammates too to make the plays and take advantage of the opportunities given. The fight's not over. What's the saying? It's not over till the fat lady sings. So, obviously we go and we tie it up, but just 4 more overtimes. It was crazy. I mean, it was really a testament to our just overall team mentality, being able to just go through that adversity and come out on top. It was a wild game for sure.
It really was. Alabama gets the win there, a game that, and then following that, the Georgia game in the SEC championship. Bryce wins the Heisman Trophy, and unfortunately, a tough loss in the rematch against Georgia in the national championship. And then that was it for you at Alabama. Just when you look back to your time getting to wear the number 18, what are you most proud of your Alabama days?
Man, that's such a great question, Roger. It's so many things that I could say. I would say the most proud I am of my time there at Alabama. It wasn't the wins, it wasn't the championships. It was just the relationships that I built. With my teammates, with the coaching staff, the training staff, and then operations, behind the scenes people. That's things that I can forever have and take with me. Obviously, I can go with the overtime touchdown against Auburn, national championships touchdown. I mean, those were obviously really cool, but they last for only a certain amount of time. But those relationships, I think that's the most thing I'm proud of. And also, but for me personally, I think and I find it hard to talk about myself in this way because I thought I was going to play in the league for 10 years and my time wasn't going to be over. There's, the best is yet to come, right? But I think for me personally, being someone who wasn't supposed to play, was in a locker room with just absolute dogs, and just going through that, being patient, continuing to put my nose to the ground and work hard every day, and being able to create opportunities for myself to play at the highest level. I think that's selfishly, individually, what I'm most proud of myself for doing. But definitely just the people and the relationships that I had was the most special.
Tell fans what you're up to these days.
Well, I am in the real world, unfortunately. I mean, I still like us right now. I try to uh, talk about football and watch football as much as I can because at the end of the day, it's my true love, and nothing's ever going to truly replace that. But I am an employee benefits consultant. I'm in insurance. I work for a company out of Higginbotham in Fort Worth, Texas now. And it's funny because I thought playing professional football or being a professional athlete was the only way to really truly create generational financial success. But it turns out you can actually work for a company and do that as well. So it's a blessing. It's obviously super different, and it's been a hard learning curve and adjustment for me. But at the end of the day, I'm super blessed and thankful because it's funny. If it wasn't for football and Bama, I wouldn't even be here. So I'm just super thankful that the Lord has put me through. And I didn't put me through. I always say it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And all the things that I've gone through has put me in a position I am today. And I'm super grateful.
That's awesome. We're getting those opportunities, and we look forward to seeing you as much in Tuscaloosa as you can or watching the Crimson Tide on the road. As Slade, just thank you for the time you've given us today and all the best moving forward. We'll talk to you again down the road. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate it. Roll Tide.
This is what being a NASCAR fan is all about. Singular history and tradition, and triple header playoffs action to ratchet up the stakes. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
To round out our show in terms of programming, we take a look back to last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind. It's always on Mondays at 6 p.m. in the Birmingham area in Vestavia Hills at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Tyler Watts and I always have a fun time with a very enthusiastic crowd, probably the most enthusiastic crowd we have for any of our shows on the network. You can find them Mondays at 6 o'clock. And Tyler had some great thoughts on what Alabama did well against Vanderbilt, plus what needs to happen this Saturday at Missouri. Tyler Watts, we get to talk after an Alabama win against Vanderbilt.
Boy, and that was one we were all nervous about going into the contest after what they had done to us the previous year. Were we going to have the ability really to stop them offensively? And it did not look good on the opening two drives for Vanderbilt. But that defense was able to settle in and just an outstanding job of creating two turnovers inside the red zone that eliminated any chance of Vanderbilt being able to compete in that ballgame. But it was, like Coach DeBoer had told us and thought, it was a four-quarter fight. You never could quite pull away from them. You got up 6, you got up 9. would have felt a whole lot more comfortable with touchdowns in those situations. But because of the play of the defense, you felt good about getting ahead of Vanderbilt and forcing them in some uncomfortable situations.
And for Vanderbilt, we knew they were going to run the football well, but they end up with only 135 yards offensively on the ground, and it seemed like in the second half they had no room to run.
Well, let's think I bet you 100 of that was on 2 plays by Cedric Alexander on the opening drive where he takes it 60-something or 70 yards for a touchdown, and then Diego Pavia has a 30 or 40-yard scramble as well in the next possession that did not result in points. So this defense really clamped down, made a couple of adjustments, and just played lights out. And they're doing it with players that are younger who we kept waiting for them to come around and really turn the corner and provide that depth. But now they're starting to look more and more like starters. And all the rotations that have taken place over the previous 4 games or so, where you're kind of scratching your head saying, why don't we have our best guys out there? Well, now you're starting to see the fruits of that as multiple players have tons of experience, and they're going in and contributing.
And just no indecision, it seemed like. Everyone had their assignment, stuck to it this past
Much
week.
different than the previous year where we were kind of, our heads were spinning around. Where's the ball? Where's the ball? It looked like that 3-cup game that they play and then the Carnival. Not this year. Everyone kind of stuck to what they were doing. We're tackling everybody, and just a great job defensively. Can't tip your hat enough to those guys.
Yeah, didn't allow any points to the Commodores in the second half of that ball game. And again, this team keeps playing with confidence. We've seen it build every week since Florida State.
Yeah, we have, and not missing a beat offensively, continuing to push the ball down the field, really straining that defensive unit. I've never seen in my life a cover 2, cover 4 with such deep concepts out of their safeties. They were fearful of these Alabama receivers getting behind them, and they were giving up 20-yard chunk plays as a result of it. So heck of a job by Ty Simpson of being able to pick apart that defense. And one thing we don't talk about enough is the offensive line play. They continue to protect Ty Simpson and allow those deep routes to be able to develop and open up, and just a great job up front. The best we have seen them in the run blocking game, and by far they just continue to improve in pass pro as well.
And right now we go to the phones all the way to Hawaii, where Laverne calls us now. Roll Tide, Laverne.
We're going to get him hearing aids too.
Roll Tide, Laverne, you're on the air.
Well, hello there. This is Laverne at Waikiki, Hawaii.
That's a great place to be. We miss you in Vestavia Hills, Laverne, but it sounds like you all are having a great trip.
We are having a great time, but we've been discussing Alabama football, and we got us a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think that Hayden Proctor will be under center for at least one offensive play in Missouri?
Thank you, Laverne. Great question. Have a great trip.
Wow. Oh, you're going to make me answer that.
You are the football expert on this show.
How funny
it's really your show time.
How funny would that look with Parker Brailsford, the smallest offensive lineman, snapping the ball to Caden Proctor, the largest offensive lineman? That'd be a heck of a quarterback sneak, wouldn't it?
It really would be.
Hey, you don't put anything out. Although I will say this. Remember, Tua Tagovailoa in the national championship game had to come out of the game in the fourth quarter, and because he didn't know how to take a snap from center underneath. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing. Let's put him back in shotgun and let him get a little bit of a head start.
I would like to see get a head of steam, some momentum. That certainly would be good to see. And, a fun question. You mentioned Parker Brailsford. I was interviewing Wilkin Formby earlier this year for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, and I was starting to ask him about all the different weight room numbers that Caden Proctor's putting up, saying he's got to be having all the records and things like that. He's like, on our group right now, it's Parker Brailsford. He's
Isn't that
one
crazy?
Of the strongest men on this team.
That doesn't surprise me. He's also your best offensive lineman by far. His ability to pull, get out on the edge. He's faster than anyone else. He can run with linebackers, but also maneuvering guys on the inside, getting up to the second level. He was responsible for so many of those big gains on the ground versus Vanderbilt throughout that contest. Jam Miller and Kevin Riley are going to get a majority of the praise for the running game starting to click. But no, it starts with Parker Brailsford and what he's able to do. I mean, he's quick, he's fast, he's strong, as you just mentioned, and there's not anybody on that field on the defensive side that he can't go toe-to-toe with.
And Parker Brailsford, great honor for him today from the Southeastern Conference. He has been named the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, helping keeping this offensive line rolling. And again, we saw some more inventive blocking schemes from Ryan Grubb this past week as well.
He just continues to amaze you is what he does in creating numbers on one side or the other. A lot of pulling, a lot of getting on the edge, using those big bruisers to create holes. And then the pass pro continues to do just a jam-up job. Jam Miller and Kevin Riley both stepping up in the pocket, taking on linebackers. Vanderbilt tried to throw everything they could. They tried to play soft. They tried to bring pressure, mix it up, try to change the looks as much as possible, bringing safeties down in the box, then retreating them out, possibly bringing them. None of it worked because of the eye discipline of this offensive line. And as you mentioned, Parker Brailsford, it really starts with him.
Simpson from the pistol. Everybody bunch left. He'll go on the toss to Jam. He cuts it back. He's got a first down. He's got a touchdown. Kate Proctor with a block that sprung him.
Jam Miller with the knockout blow this past week against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Again, 2 weeks Jam Miller's been healthy. 2 weeks, Tyler, he's been effective.
He was awesome. 130-something yards rushing, and I love to see him get that late touchdown. Although the game was well in hand, and we were just trying to run the clock out, Missouri would not have been able to do, Vanderbilt would not have been able to. I'm like Diego Pavio celebrating a kneel right now, aren't I?
Did you ever celebrate kneel downs pregame?
Lord, no. Lord, no. I guess he leaves no stone unturned except for turning the ball over in the red zone. But to see him get that touchdown was well-deserved because he had ran so hard all day long to get his first score of the season, being that workhorse. And we had talked about it. That's late in the game right there. They'll tell you the defense is selling out on the run. If you're able to break that first line of containment of defense, a lot of times you'll see long touchdown runs in those situations.
Great to see that for Jam Miller as the Crimson Tide put the finishing touches on that 30-14 win against Vanderbilt. And now we've been talking about it, Missouri, the next opponent for the Crimson Tide. Tyler, it's always dangerous on a couple of levels. You have to take on a team at 11 a.m. on the road, but also you have to take on a team that's coming off of a bye week.
That's the tougher part that I'm concerned with. Once again, we talk about this all the time. This Alabama football team practices early in the morning. Their motors are up running. They are used to getting going, getting that energy early on in this type of environment. So the bigger concern is what has Missouri done in that off week? What new things is this Alabama defense going to see that potentially could give them some problems? But when you're going on the road, you have to continue to play good in the first quarter, let the game kind of settle down, and then the better talent typically will rise to the top. So hopefully we're in a position to be able to compete early on, and then we just kind of keep punching them. It's a good Missouri offense, though. They run for a lot of yards. This defensive front linebackers are going to have their hands full with really eliminating. However, I like the fact that we have seen this style. Now, obviously not to the talent, but La Monroe ran something very similar. They tried to stick with that outside zone. Wisconsin ran a lot of it, a lot of misdirection off of it, however, as well. So Alabama has to be eye disciplined once again for the second week in a row and making sure they're limiting Missouri's opportunities to make second and medium, third and short chances to be able to convert first downs.
Missouri has one of the best running backs in the country. Yeah. Ahmad Hardy, he leads all rushers in the nation, 730 yards. He's done that in only 5 games this season.
That's not bad. Now, South Carolina held them to, 27, 28 points over the course of the 4 quarters. And you just have to feel good about if we can score 30 or more moving out. I know that's not too tough, right? Just go out there and score 30 points. But we know how capable we are. I think there's going to be very few teams that can hang with us if we have that firepower going, and especially if we're playing ball control.
Our radio coverage will start at 8 a.m. against Tyler, a team that is off to a 5-0 start. Certainly looks good, not just offensively, but the Tigers have the nation's second-best defense, only giving up 203 yards per game. And also, Missouri currently leading the nation in time of possession, owning the ball for an average of 37-29 a game.
Wow. Well, you're going to find out a couple of things in this ball game. Is the staying power of Alabama there? Can we turn it back to back to back and keep that focus that you need in this 5 game stretch, because then you have Tennessee and then you go to South Carolina after that. Or is the focus there, is this a top 5, top 10 football team? And then for Missouri, you're going to find out this will be by far their best competition of the season. Are they able to continue to do what they've done versus their other opponents versus this Alabama defense and Alabama offense?
It's going to be a lot of fun coming up on Saturday. Alabama against Missouri. There's still some construction in the stadium as they renovate Faurot Field at Memorial Stadium. But again, if Alabama brings its energy, you feel like the Crimson Tide are trending in the right direction.
You do, and you think that you're going to have spillover as that confidence continues to improve on a weekly basis. We have remained relatively healthy as far as the eye can see from 50 yards away. So those are important things, though. We're playing a lot of players. We're getting a lot of reps in. You're starting to build some depth that you can trust to play all 4 quarters regardless of what the situation is. So you like where you're sitting, but now you got to take it on a tough environment. Early kickoff. Everybody's against you. The rocks are moved in the end zone. I mean, it's just chaos everywhere.
Fun time at Crimson Tide Rewind last night as it started our week of programming on the network that continues today with Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. But now let's take a look at our upcoming schedule to see what else is coming up in the next few days on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Coming up tomorrow night, Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show. Look forward to being back at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa for that program at 6 o'clock. As Chris Stewart mentioned, Justin Jefferson will join the show along with the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer. Then on Thursday, another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. A great lineup of guests already scheduled. Yes, the voice of the Missouri Tigers, Mike Kelly, will get his thoughts on the matchup, plus thoughts from Jan Zapier, Crimson Tide linebacker, and college football's Josh Pate. I call him college football as he works for nearly every outlet. He wants to be the commissioner of the sport one day, but a great breakdown of Alabama football from Josh Pate coming up on Thursday's show. Then bright and early Saturday morning, we'll be getting ready for Alabama football against Missouri. 8 a.m. will be the airtime. 11 o'clock, it'll be the Tide and the Tigers kicking it off at a renovated Memorial Stadium on campus at Mizzou. Then on Sunday, the Kalen DeBoer television show to our TV affiliates across the state, on demand, RolledTide.com. And then the show we just showed you clips of a moment ago, Crimson Tide Rewind, will start Tennessee Week, Tennessee Hate Week, coming up on Monday, 6 p.m. start time from Baumhower's Victory Grill. Make sure you follow us at UA_CTSN for the very latest on Alabama athletics. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. You won't miss anything coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to wrap up a very busy Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guests, especially Michael Carroll, Chris Stewart, and Slade Bolden, plus Tyler Watts with his time last night for Crimson Tide Rewind. Thanks to Ethan Carabin, our video producer, who put this entire show together. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover. This show will return Thursday at 2 o'clock for a full preview of Alabama against Missouri. We look forward to seeing you again then. Thanks for watching, everyone. Roll.